Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hopefully, you're hearing me. Live event here, You're on a webcast for empowering teams in a remote world. Hopefully, everyone is in the right place. Welcome. A few housekeeping items just before we get started. I wanted to call out at the bottom of your screen, we've got a few different types of icons that you can look through. You can have a group chat there. There's some slides that I'm going to be presenting. There's also a Q&A. So I see several people already putting in that they can hear me. It's great. I love it. See, it's beautiful that this is interactive and on the fly. Also, you might want to set up your layout a little bit or move some things around. Again, there's a QA at the bottom that I can call out to. There's also some resource links. As we go through this, you're going to see some items that you might want to reach out and review later when you have the time. We're also going to cover some of those resources and some other links in this presentation when we get through it. But thank you all for joining. Appreciate it. And here we go. So, my name is Chris Hood. I am on the global customer success team for Apogee and Google Cloud, and completely and totally excited to be here with you today. And before we get started, I did want to just call out one more thing, which is my email address. If you have questions or you would like to discuss Apogee, your API program in more detail, please feel free, send me a message, and I'm happy to help and coordinate with you some time and talk about whatever you would like to talk about. So let's get started with a few quotes that I think are probably relevant and will really set the foundation for our discussion today. First one, whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Martin Luther King Jr. I believe that resonates for several of you. How about another? 1,000 fibers connects us with our fellow men. Our actions run as causes, and they come back to us as effects. Herman Melville. We're all rethinking what it means to connect. I appreciate the line, 1,000 fibers connect us. But maybe for some of you, there's a more familiar interpretation. How about this quote? It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together. Yes, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Well, maybe not that far away when we say remote world. But I'm sure you're all getting the theme here. In a time of disconnection, we have become more connected than ever. Communication can be challenging even when we're already working in the same location, let alone remotely. Employees may also have a difficult time with remote meetings and collaboration. How often are you hearing now, how about now? Can you hear me now? I even said it just as we were starting. The ability for us to communicate and collaborate online entirely now depends upon employees' technologies at home. And many of you aren't even set up really for access of online services and quick and secure fashions. And when you don't have that proper communication or you aren't collaborating well, workplace culture can suffer. In fact, simply lacking a central physical gathering place like the iconic water cooler can damage morale and, in turn, your company's culture. And through disruption, you must put a new realization on how your organization affects teams, binds the business together, and connects people in ways that supports and transforms the business. More so, you must empower your employees in order to maintain that culture and grow your business. To fully empower the team means that you must let them make decisions on their own. Without the ability to act with authority, especially when remote, will not only discourage employees, it will reduce business value. Give teams more authority, stretch their capabilities, and supply them with the tools they need to be successful. This, in turn, adds to their sense of value and fuels further empowerment. So how do we start? I'd say learn flexibility. Life happens. We all know that now. Be flexible with your employees as things come up. We are all living in a world where dogs barking and crying babies in the background are a regular occurrence. But flexibility goes beyond how we treat our teams. It's about understanding what consumers need and have a framework that allows you to adjust to those needs or market trends or disruptions as quickly as possible. It means being open to new ideas and giving your teams the authority to act upon them while continuously building a culture that trusts and supports others to help your organization be more innovative. Today, empowering teams in a remote world is no longer optional. It is here. Let's walk through this perspective of empowerment. But first, I love polls, especially since we're live, we can do these interactive polls. So here's one to start us off. Is your organization using DevOps, Agile, CI/CD, and other modern software development best practices? And there's a couple of answers here. We don't follow modern software development best practices. Less than half of our software development teams follow modern best practices. More than half, but not all of our software teams follow modern best practices. Or all of our software development teams follow modern best practices. And again, some of the keys in there are DevOps, Agile, CI/CD, and we're going to touch on some of these. While you're answering that, let's think about another quote here. I particularly like this quote for some reason. Believing you know what your customers want more than they do will cost you those customers. Now, I'm sure you're all wondering what this has to do with empowering teams, but just stay with me. Let's look at a few stats first. Today, digital consumers are actively looking to buy from the most innovative companies. 63% of digital consumers expect companies to provide new products, services, and experiences more frequently, and 71% desire a consistent digital experience across all channels. And in addition, 65% expect those products, services, and experiences to be personalized based on previous visits. But here's the stat to remember. 76% of consumers expect companies to know their needs before even asking them. How do you accomplish this? How do you innovate at speed and scale to meet the demands of your customers? I'll give you a hint. It starts with your teams. Let's look at the poll results. Here we go. Okay, so you're saying to me, I may believe you, that all of your software development teams are following modern best practices. That's great. For those people who are not, I think the next one down here is less than half of our software development teams are following modern best practices. This piece of our presentation is for you. And hopefully you'll start to get a little bit more out of it as we continue. Here's how it materializes in another report, that exact same question, but in the annual State of Agile report from last year. 48% said that less than half of their teams are agile. So that aligns a little bit with what we have. And then 22%, all of our teams are agile. And so that's a larger view of the same question. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Agile development, the concept is simple. At the most basic level, Agile allows your organization to be nimble by creating an ever-changing backlog of priorities. As business needs shift, your product team can shift too. Top digital enterprises have this process down to a science, really. They unite the business and technology teams and drive business value. And even more important, it can all be supported remotely. It's sort of like the secret sauce to maintaining business continuity, especially in a time of disruption. Another way to streamline this process is to look at a basic CI/CD workflow, continuous integration and continuous delivery. And these processes will help your organization fluidly innovate while maintaining the internal governance and the business continuity across all of your teams. Your APIs can flow through this process, allowing your API consumers to develop new experiences and innovate faster, while also helping deliver these new connected experiences to the market faster, which, if you remember from our stats earlier, will directly help you keep up with the expectations of your customers and keep them happy. Perpetual IT agility is really at the core of digital transformation. Transformation is an ongoing process requiring an ongoing state of IT agility that lets the business continually adapt to changes in customer needs and market dynamics fueled by disruption. The critical piece of this, though, is your ability to automate that process so that you can integrate changes and test and authenticate those changes and publish them to your digital consumers rapidly. Here's another chart to demonstrate what we've been discussing. Out of the enterprises that responded to the Agile report last year, 69% stated that the ability to manage changing priorities was the #1 benefit of using Agile. But if we look close, half of the top 6 responses are about improving teams, team morale, increased team productivity, business and IT alignment, and that goes far. And even better, there's a manifesto that goes with all of this. It says, we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. While working software is desired outcome that gives kind of a North Star for these individuals and teams, customer collaboration and responding to change furthermore guides the team to do the right thing for the customer, all in an effort to maintain the business, continuously improve the business and your products, and empower your teams to give your customers what they want. If we simplified this into sort of a formula, I would say happy customers plus empowered teams equals an increase to your overall organizational value. Now, how do we bind everything together to harness that power of IT agility and reach your market faster in new products and services? Let's take another poll. I love polls. How are APIs viewed today in your organization? APIs are used to expose information and services to our teams. APIs are used for internal system or software integration. APIs are used to build digital products or connected experiences. APIs are used as strategic assets for creating new business value. Take a moment, feel free to respond to that, and we'll come back and we'll look at the results here in just a moment. So APIs, for those of you who don't know what an API is, That's okay. It's with the official term, definition, application programming interfaces. It's a fairly technical definition of what APIs are. Over the years, we've seen this sort of evolution happen. API started off as a way to improve access, REST as an alternative to SOAP, HTTP verbs, much simpler architecture. We moved to this integration mindset, system or software A connected to system or software B, sending, retrieving data between cloud systems. And today, unfortunately, many businesses are still stuck in this particular mindset. But as enterprises have become more mature, they reach an experience view of APIs, mobile apps powered by APIs that deliver experiences to their customers or for their teams, like remote team meetings, this webcast, or maybe grocery delivery services. All of those are powering experiences through APIs. But the enterprises that truly unlock the power of APIs reach this transformational level, digital transformation of the enterprise, innovation, new revenue models, improved partnerships, and increased modes of engagement that help the business navigate disruptions. From a long-standing integration technology to being a powerful agent of transformation, the evolution of APIs has been impressive and exciting. And today, APIs are the fundamental building blocks for successful businesses. Digital transformation is the ability for teams to support the needs of the business while the business supports the needs of their customers. Whether this is through the development of API products or leveraging Agile, as we talked about just a moment ago, sharing analytics throughout the organization to iterate on those products, or publishing the products for easier consumption within a vast ecosystem. We'll cover some of that in just a bit. Let's take a look at our poll results. Here we go. Okay, 31% APIs are used to build digital products and connected experiences. And then in second place, we got 26.8% APIs are used for internal system or software integration. So it's you people right there that I'm going to talk to here. But also the 23%, almost 24%, that are looking at APIs as strategic assets. That's where you want to get to, especially in this time that we're in. So why are APIs important? Yes, as some of you answered, integration can be important, but in complex enterprises, integration can also be a black hole in a galaxy far, far away. The important question to ask is the integration helping your teams meet the needs of your customers? Or what is the true business value that this integration is providing to you? In most cases, when businesses are looking at APIs to support integration of systems and software, they're stuck in this mindset that APIs are helping to reduce cost or removing technical debt. However, this still doesn't unlock that full potential of APIs. A few weeks ago, I was having a discussion with a group on LinkedIn, and a comment was made that ignoring application integration scenarios means ignoring about 98% of the scenarios where APIs are used in the real world today. And my response really aligns with what we're talking about. I said, no matter what the integration is, at the start of an API's life is a value proposition that must result in a business outcome. Otherwise, you wouldn't need the integration in the first place. This is a mindset shift. APIs are not just about integration. APIs must be treated as products that align your teams with your customers. So maybe we should look at APIs in maybe a slightly different way. And here's my favorite: application people interface. When teams are empowered with APIs, focused on your people or customers first, enterprises can launch software faster, iterate with data more efficiently, integrate partner technologies more easily, and increase overall innovation rates. Strong businesses link every decision back to improving their value propositions. And in my experience, APIs deliver the most value when serving as an interface between a company and its people. From digital marketplaces and content platforms to smart homes, wearable devices, across virtually all industries, connected experiences are redefining how customers interact with businesses and how businesses must engage with people. And here's another stat that speaks to your need for APIs. Today, right now, connected experiences have overtaken price and product as the key brand differentiator. And 86%, when this was done last year, of buyers will pay more for that experience. Like I said, I think that's probably higher right now. APIs can no longer be a technology play. You must leverage APIs to connect with people. This diagram represents a horizontal view of what we call the digital value chain. Consumption is depicted on the left and represents internal, external, or partner applications and services. The right side reflects the assets that are exposed from your back-end services to those consumers. And at every point in the value chain, there is an activity that has to occur in an efficient, scalable, and profitable manner to meet the needs and expectations throughout your digital economy. We accomplish this through building apps and new digital experiences by developers who consume your APIs that are produced by API teams, connected to your back end, and then flows back out to your consumers. This flow is the foundation of what we call the outside-in perspective. It demonstrates how digital products and experiences will flow from your consumers on the outside of your organization to your internal teams and back-end systems on the inside of your organization. Ultimately, the outside-in perspective is also another mindset shift. It means breaking down barriers between teams and coming together to produce these new digital experiences quickly for your consumers. And designing APIs as products should really be treated no differently than what you would design for any other product within your company. You should ask questions like, what problems do my users face? That's a big one right now. How do I make the API product easy to consume? Do I start designing API products for an internal audience or jump right to the external audience? Can proxies be reused in multiple API products? How can I measure the impact of my API products? A lot of questions. And the answers to these questions will form your API product strategy. And that strategy ultimately supports your overall business. The API product strategy is managed by teams with its own product lifecycle, designing your APIs from an outside-in perspective, documenting them so application developers can innovate faster, even marketing your APIs to attract new opportunities, allowing people to help you innovate, and of course, analyze all of that performance to help you grow your business. The real hidden benefits of API products is to support application modernization. Once this happens, your organization now strategically is positioned to lift and shift workloads or take advantage of service offerings from different cloud providers. It helps with cost and quality of service, or even just delivering a very specific capability that you need to deliver immediately. This people interface helps to accelerate your time to market, increases the overall consumption and standardization of your data, and greatly decreases the chance for your business to be disrupted. Unlocking this new mindset will help improve business agility. APIs can now influence new services that are being developed, or maybe even new rate plans for different lines of businesses. And some of that may not have even been available previously. Also, from an IT perspective, and this gets back into that IT agility, APIs can help reduce development cycles, supporting a two-speed IT process that allows your external applications and connected experiences to be developed in days, while the back-end system can continue enhancements at whatever speed they need. But APIs are not the only way you can empower your team or bind your organization together. The concept of citizen development is coming, or you could also say your non-technical employees. Analysts are predicting a huge surge of citizen developers, and in 2023 predict that they will outnumber professional developers 4-1. This is also happening right now. There's going to be a lot of internal applications that are needed and wanted, and many of them will need to tap into those internal databases or make API calls. The goal of no code is to accelerate time to build and deploy valuable team tools within your organization. We have a new product called AppSheet, and AppSheet does this by removing time and resource-intensive steps from traditional dev cycles that is usually causing like an IT backlog. AppSheet helps also IT leaders of these organizations drive the innovation and help their internal teams work faster. And AppSheet also helps line of business users to digitize their work much faster and accomplish things they previously weren't able to. From Google's point of view, empowering your employees to focus on user needs from an outside-in perspective and developing API products or no-code apps help you quickly leverage the data to innovate, and your business can 10x those experiences, those internal productivity opportunities, and customer journeys. Which brings us to the team's ability to connect with partners in other businesses. So let's do another poll here. How does your organization engage and innovate with your partners, supply chain, and digital channels? We are not actively expanding our ecosystem beyond existing technologies. We are augmenting existing partnerships with a few new digital capabilities. We are investing in an ecosystem to expand our business to adapt in adjacent markets. We are actively expanding our capabilities for strategic advantage and innovation. When you have a chance, feel free to submit your answer on that one. And again, we'll get to the responses in just a moment. Digital ecosystems could I will say account for more than 60 trillion in revenue by 2025. Another stat that I think is growing by the day, or more than 30% of global corporate revenue. In a world of ecosystems, as industry boundaries blur, strategy will require a much broader frame of reference. In other words, CEOs and CIOs will need to use a wider lens when assessing would-be competitors and would-be partners. If we return to our view of the digital value chain, we can see how teams focused on ecosystems merge the business and IT agility patterns to reach that 10x outcome we discussed earlier. Now your team can not only deliver new experiences to the business at scale, but also deliver new APIs to partners to increase business innovation and consumer reach. Ecosystem strategies enable companies to maximize their unique strengths while relying on partners for scale and to fill gaps. Okay, let's look at our results here. 45% say we are actively expanding our capabilities for strategic advantage and innovation. That's great. Absolutely magical. Let's see how close your interpretation of that is as we progress. So ecosystems go beyond the multi-channel or the traditional omni-channels that top-performing companies may typically think an ecosystem is. It goes much broader, where your brand and experience and capabilities can be expanded and developed upon. And ecosystems come in multiple forms. We have internal ecosystems, partner ecosystems, industry ecosystems, and public ecosystems. Organizational maturity is determined based on the number of these ecosystems your enterprise publishes. So the first one, companies often focus on this inner ring first, their own internal ecosystems. This is a good starting point, especially for digital transformation. It also is often focused on that integration mode that we talked about before. It allows your teams to begin collaborating and sharing resources across the business units. And this encourages reuse and streamlining and of the development life cycles, reuse of your API and other assets, your digital assets. As we move outward, though, enterprises begin to participate in ecosystems by packaging business systems and services into cross-cloud API products that provide value to partners and external developers. Here you can reach adjacent industries and build trust between teams or business units and partners. And then as your enterprise continues to mature, your ecosystem will enter adjacent markets, creating new customer interaction models, and rapidly grow your brand's reach, and also broaden your partners' ecosystems. In this type of ecosystem environment, today's competitors may actually turn out to be tomorrow's partners. In reality, we used to think that our competitors and customers and partners were all these distinct entities. Now, the same company can be a competitor, a customer, and a partner. And really, failure to grasp this may cause you to miss out on opportunities and be disrupted yourself. And then when enterprises reach full ecosystem maturity, they remain open to new business models that emerge as public participants leverage your APIs. Successful digital businesses often benefit from this network effect as teams and public users and preferred partners that are gained in one area of your ecosystem translate into new customers and users and partners otherwhere. Now, here's the best news about this. In most cases, this is free. You can do this today. The only benefit that you have to gain is new business. So you have to ask yourself, why would you not want to do this? When enterprises reach full maturity, you have this scenario, kind of to summarize: drive customer advocacy across teams to strengthen your outside-in culture, access and align with other companies' APIs that complement your own, use an API management platform to accelerate onboarding of new partners, and create a market of API products that can be leveraged throughout your ecosystem that also helps you grow your products and services without facing disruption. And if you can, then also automate all of this. Create self-service opportunities so that partners can log in remotely and become extensions of your internal teams. Application programming interfaces, or I prefer application people interfaces, are helping companies create the differentiators for their products, processes, and people. APIs are helping empowering teams to innovate every day and build these new connected experiences, especially in a time when they're so desperately needed. They also help you become more agile, open up new business markets, and connect with each other. APIs, quite frankly, are super powerful. And empowering teams relies on those APIs. Some of the questions that we've posed during our webinar today can also be found. We have a self-assessment tool called Compass, and Compass measures your company's digital maturity across 10 different dimensions, including your software development lifecycle and how your teams engage with each other and how you identify business opportunities through ecosystems. It's also completely free, 10 questions, 10 dimensions, about 10 minutes. When you have your score, share it with me. I would love to see where you are at. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, answer any questions you have or spend some time with you regarding whatever strategy you have questions about. Once again, my email address for those of you who are joining late was chrishood, CHRISHOOD @google.com. Feel free to write that down and reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm going to skip. I'm going to go back to that. We do have a quick post-webinar survey. Feel free. You can click on that right now. And as you're filling that out, I actually am going to open up the floor. We have a little bit of time for some questions, and I see a whole slew of questions coming in. Unbelievable. So I'm going to go through these questions, and while I'm answering the questions, feel free to take a moment and fill out this quick survey form for us. That would be greatly appreciated. Would love your feedback. Thank you for doing that. So let's look at some questions here. First one we have: how can I adopt an API strategy? That's an absolutely great question. I did cover some of that in today's notes. It really does boil around identifying what kind of products you want to build from an API perspective, API products, having that outside-in perspective, implementing some agile principles to help your teams really begin to collaborate with each other. And again, as I've said, this can all be done remotely. Your API strategy should be focused on a very remote world, real world scenario. So there's a lot that goes into an API strategy, though. again, feel free, if you want to talk a little bit more about that, reach out to me. Hopefully some of the decks and things that we had here help you with that. Okay, let's see. Next one. Is AppSheet open source and how it's integrated with Apogee? So AppSheet is not open source, but if you would like to learn more about AppSheet and we can answer all those details, once again, we've got your name. We will definitely write that down. I've got some helpers on the line here. They will write your information down and they'll reach out to you and we'll be happy to get you whatever information you have related to AppSheet. Okay. Let's see. Do we list Dev Portal, which is supported by Apogee, like Drupal is supported, but any in market which may not, how to find? I'm not entirely positive what you're asking, but again, we're live. So yes, the Dev Portal for Apogee, we have two different types of Dev Portals, to keep this conversation answer simple. We've got what we call an integrated portal that is built into Apogee, and we've got an external portal, which is using a CMS like Drupal. Both are valid, both have a lot of power behind them. And ultimately, the Dev Portal allows you to publish your APIs in any way that you want. From an ecosystem perspective, like we were just talking about, you may choose to publish your APIs internally only. That creates that internal ecosystem. Or you may decide to publish your APIs externally to the public or to your partners, which then creates that public ecosystem. And there are a lot of examples of public ecosystems. You can just go and do a search on API, developers, and you're going to find them. Things like companies like MapQuest or weather APIs, financial APIs, open banking APIs, finance APIs. All of those things are created in open public ecosystems on our dev portals. So hopefully that answers that question. I see another quick question here on Dev Portal. Is the Dev Portal tied to APIs built and managed by Apogee? Yes and no. Yes, primarily. The concept here is that Apogee as an API management platform allows you to produce and publish those APIs, and the vehicle by which you publish those APIs would be your Dev Portal, which is why we have an integrated Dev Portal inside of Apogee to help you get to market faster with publishing your APIs. And those Dev Portals also help you with things like API key generation and security management and controlling, again, who you have or let to have access to your APIs. It also allows you to publish them as those API products, which is one of the biggest features that we're seeing. And again, when we think from an ecosystem perspective, the whole goal here is that you're expanding your team and your reach so that people can innovate for you. So you're not doing it fully on your own. This is how you are able to open up new business opportunities, new lines of business, new revenue channels, all through basically producing, publishing, and even in theory, monetizing those APIs. Okay. I see another one, and I have this a couple times. Can you share your slides? Just for reference, we are not sharing the slides, but we are recording this. So once the recording is complete, you will receive an email that has a link to the recording. Then you have that, and you can share it to as many people as you want to share it with. Hopefully, you can share it all internally, and hopefully this content resonates with your teams. That'd be great. Let's see. Let's move down here. Does API, let's see. Does API cover only API management or API development too? So when you say does API, I'm going to assume Apogee. And yes, Apogee does cover both API management and API development, and a lot of other things that are baked into that are going to help your teams, like analytics, as an example, where you can generate reports and you can use those reports to kind of figure out who on your team is using them, how beneficial they are to your team. We've got a whole lot of documentation on things like API metrics and how do you track performance and KPIs within your organization to determine if you're being successful, if your teams are collaborating in the right ways, if your customers are getting what they want, if the API developers are meeting the needs of the business, are you growing business value? All of that can kind of be wrapped up into this one concept called Apogee, which is a full life cycle API management platform. So there's a lot of things that are packaged into this, and I just covered the high level things. We also have all of the things like how do you secure your APIs, how do you create these shared workflows to streamline your development processes, how do you build in Agile into that model, things like that. So great question. Lots of questions here, everybody. I've got at least 20 more questions. I'm not going to be able to get to them all. This is wonderful. Could you elaborate more on citizen developers and the latest trends in citizen development? Sure, absolutely. I will say that we have a lot of blog posts and other resources out there. If you just did a Google search on citizen developers, you're going to find a ton of information. But the great thing about citizen developers is it really is a key part of empowering your teams. And what I mean by that is typically what we see is that organizations have ideas for productivity or process improvements. And today, or in the past, when you wanted some type of new application to help you with your productivity at your workstation or within your team, you often had to go to your development team to say, hey, we would like a new application. Here's all the use cases that we have. Here's the requirements we have. And then they go off and build it, and then they share it with you. And hopefully it does what you need it to do. But that process is typically lengthy. Citizen development is this concept that you, on your team, can now start to produce applications to help your team be more productive. And it's using a service that's wrapped around another concept called no code, which means that you don't have to code anything to build these applications. And an app sheet allows you to do that and build basically a brand new application on a mobile device, like in minutes, if you really wanted to. So things like inventory tracking or process tracking, or we're doing a lot of this right now in the healthcare field. It becomes very powerful because now you're not relying on your IT groups to help you develop new applications for productivity. You're relying on the citizens of your organization, the team, to help you do that. And we're not concerned about things like governance or control because all of that is baked into the application itself. So that's the concept. And again, we've got more information. We can definitely keep track of your name and point you to a few more resources for sure. Let's see. Wow. I'm really just blown away by all of the questions everyone has. I think we have time for one more. Let me try to get one more in here, and then all of the questions that we haven't gotten to, we'll jot down, and I'll be sure that we can try to reach out to you, or we'll find another way that we can answer. Or as I've said, if I don't answer your question, jot down my email address, send me an email personally, and I will answer and spend some time with you to figure that out. Let's see. Yeah, this is good. Just again, another summary here. Are there any links or ebooks for Google for Learning? Absolutely. In your view right now of the webinar, there is a resource link. There is an icon at the bottom that has links. And in those resource links, or maybe you see a window on the left side of your screen, there's a list there. And in there, there's actually an ebook and a couple of other links with resources. Feel free to click on any of those, dive into it a little bit more, and then we would be happy to, again, answer any questions that you have after that. I do see one more also, which is similar. Do you have a demo of Apogee? Yes, absolutely. You can go to Google Cloud/Apogee, and there is a sign-up feature that allows you to have a free trial, kind of demo of Apogee. If you would like to get a more in-depth demo, then absolutely you can also schedule time with us, and we're happy to help you do that. But I think you'll get a lot of the information that you want also out of just signing up and doing that demo. And I see one more I do want to touch on really quick because I think it's also relevant. We are looking into healthcare solutions for your customers. Do you have any inbuilt functionality that we could leverage? So there's two things that I will say. I will say not by default, no, there is not. However, in both AppSheet has done a lot of development work within the healthcare environment right now. Some really powerful, strong, incredible examples of what AppSheet can do, and specifically around how we are helping the healthcare industry and hospitals with these AppSheet applications. So you can look that up, but it's absolutely there. And we also have some healthcare-related demos that you could install inside of Apogee so that you can get a sense of how we've leveraged certain Apogee functionality within the healthcare space. And those demos are all available on a GitHub repo. And I think you can find them online as well. But once again, you can reach out to us, and I'm sure that we can find somebody to help navigate you to the right spot. Okay? And there we go. I see more questions around citizen development. I see more questions around Apogee. I love it. I appreciate it. We are out of time. All of these questions, though, that we have not gotten to, we will jot down once more, just so you have it. My email address. My name is Chris Hood. You can reach me at chrishood@google.com. You can find me on LinkedIn also at Chris Hood. So it's pretty quick and easy. Feel free, email me. Let me know if I didn't get to your question, and if you have some additional things that you would like to discuss. Happy to work with you. And then we'll also track all of these questions that we didn't get to, and we'll reach back out to you with some answers and some other content. Thank you, everyone, so much. I appreciate your time and listening and participation. Thank you also for filling out the end of the webinar survey. Appreciate that. Thank you. Have a great day.